Do you remember that annoying classmate you had in school? The one you didn't like but had to tolerate for the sake of your social circle and your social circumstances? Well, imagine he has turned up at your doorstep to celebrate his 30th birthday, and along the way he's invited a bunch of your school friends. Once again, you find yourself in a situation where you have to put up with him for the sake of your social circle and your social circumstances. But there's more. As you reluctantly participate in the celebrations, your neighbor, an old man, passes away. And now his friends, family, relatives all have arrived next door to mourn his passing, while fun, games, enjoyment and festivities ensues at your home. How long do you think it takes for things to get out of hand? This is the plot of JanEMan in a nutshell. As for the kind of movie it is and what to expect, here's my review. Guys, if you like this review, please hit the thumbs up icon and subscribe to my channel. I would really appreciate your support. Thank you. Alright, now let's get started. JanEMan released in theatres in November 19, 2021 and ran for close to 100 days, which is a rarity nowadays considering the number of digital platforms available. However, the producers knew they had a winner on their hands and prolonged its digital debut. Now, since its release, I've heard a lot of good things about this movie and hence kept away from all spoilers, waiting for its OTT release, as I wasn't quite comfortable going to movie theatres at the time. And then on February 25, 2022, it was released on the OTT platform Sunnext and I finally saw JanEMan. Directed and co-written by Chidambaram S. Poduval, along with his brother and co-writer Ganapathi S. Poduval, who plays an important character in the movie, along with being a child artist back in the day in movies like Vinodayatra and Pranchiyatan and the Saint. The movie stars Basil Joseph, the director of Minnal Murli, Arjun Ashokan, Balu Varghese and Lal from the legendary director duo Siddiq Lal. However, the list of actors does not end there, as more and more characters are introduced in the narrative as the story progresses. It would be easy to call this movie a comedy, but that would be lazy. There is far more depth to its character and story than what you see on the surface. It handles comedy and tragedy with equal importance. So I guess you could call this movie a dark comedy. On one side, a family and loved ones mourn the passing of an old man who was a father, uncle, brother, friend and neighbor. And in the house across the street, JanEMan, played by a hilarious Basil Joseph, celebrates his birthday quite selfishly but joyfully, as he is completely oblivious to the fact how much inconvenience he causes to the occupants in the house as well as the neighbors who are in mourning. However, things are not as straightforward as they seem. The old man had an estranged relationship with his son, a character called Monichan, played by Balu Varghese, in a role we haven't seen him do before, but does a splendid job of it. Monichan at first does not even want to see his father's body and tearfully states that he is only here to do his duties as a son and bury his father. Monichan also has a strained relationship with his two sisters. One of them is a nun who is his elder sister, and then his younger sister who's pregnant. Now the pregnant girl's husband is abroad due to work, so he calls her over the phone and tells he can't make it in time for the funeral, so her worry and tension goes up as well. In short, there is plenty going on in this house with room for more drama and mounting tension. Also, Lal, who plays the role of Kochuunja, the brother of the deceased and uncle to Monichan, absolutely nails his role as the ever-dependable and strong-willed uncle. Then there is JanEMan, who is a nurse working in Canada but has come down to Cochin to celebrate his 30th birthday. Now on the surface, JanEMan seems to be happy and having a good time. There are several laugh-out moments, especially the hilarious scene where he calls his friends and reminds him to wish him a happy birthday at 12 in the morning. He also reminds them to update status messages on WhatsApp and other social media platforms. Without the knowledge of his host, he also invites other friends and other people to the birthday party as well. But in reality, JanEMan is lonely and taking anti-depression medication. All of this is an act to alleviate his pain and loneliness. Then there is the character of Sampath, played by Arjun Ashokan. He is the reluctant, short-tempered friend who's hosting the birthday party at his home, convinced by the much nicer, loyal best friend and former classmate Dr. Basil, played by Ganapathi. Now, Sampath's short temper arises from the fact that he had to take up the responsibility of looking after his house, his mother and his sister upon the sudden death of his father. Therefore, he couldn't complete his education and he had to get serious and mature at a very young age. He worked hard and succeeded at building a resale business that focused on real estate, automobiles and other aspects as well. Therefore, he's always busy and always on the edge. And his only pastime is to have a few drinks quietly in the evening with his buddy Dr. Basil. Of course, that's all disrupted by the arrival of JanEMan. To make matters worse, Sampath and Monichan are at odds with each other based on an altercation they had a few years ago on an issue related to Sampath's sister. Believe it or not, there are more characters, drama, comedy and subplots to cover, but I like to keep this review spoiler free. The tone of the movie often switches between humor and tension as the movie tries to tell a story of two homes over the duration of one night. Most of it is done pretty well as you find yourself completely immersed with what transpires on screen. Though it's their first feature-length movie, director Chidambaram and co-writer Ganapathi handles proceedings like seasoned professionals. They do a great job of balancing humor and drama for most of the movie's runtime. However, it does get jarring as more and more characters are introduced to the plot and more subplots begin to form. There is a subtlety behind the storytelling process of JanEMan that creates a pleasant, watchable experience. However, sometimes that pleasantness is disturbed by a scene, character or dialogue, making you wonder, couldn't they have handled that better? Finally, the title JanEMan is the biggest surprise in the movie. For most of its runtime, you just can't figure out why they decided to give this title. And then the climax happens and it all makes sense. Okay, final thoughts and ratings. This movie did not have big superstars or a lot of pre-release hype. Yet after it came out, there was a lot of good word of mouth and people went to theaters and watched it and it ran for almost 100 days. And after having watched the movie, I get it. It's not that there is something different or unique about the plot or there's something a little extra to be seen. It's just simple storytelling at its best. That's it. From start to finish, this is a movie that you can simply sit back and use to unwind. While there is serious drama and yes, and there is humor as well, at the end of it, it's not something to be taken too seriously. That's the best way I can describe it. It's just something where you can sit back and unwind. So my rating for this movie is 3 out of 5. It's, like I said, not something unique or different, but it's simple storytelling at its best and definitely worth a watch. And that's my review. If you like this video, hit the thumbs up icon and please subscribe. Thank you for watching and have a great day.